Your soulmate just wrote you a secret love letter. Listen before midnight. Don't scroll, listen to this, because the timing of you landing on these words is not random, and your heart needs this right now more than you may even realize, so take a breath and stay with me for a moment, because this message is for you and it's meant to reach you exactly when it did, not a second earlier, not a second later. Somewhere, right now, there is a person whose soul is deeply intertwined with yours, and they have been sitting with emotions they can no longer ignore, emotions that have been building quietly, patiently, almost painfully, until they finally spilled out in the form of a letter that hasn't been sent yet, a love letter written in the private space between their heart and the universe. And listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. This wasn't written out of impulse or fantasy, it came from a moment of spiritual awakening, the kind that happens late at night when the world is quiet and the truth gets loud, the kind that happens when someone realizes they've been running from something sacred, and that sacred thing is you. Don't scroll, because the energy you've been feeling lately, that sudden heaviness in your chest, those random thoughts of them that come out of nowhere, the dreams that feel too vivid to be meaningless, those are not coincidences, those are signs, those are confirmations, those are the universe gently tapping you on the shoulder saying, pay attention, something important is unfolding. Your soulmate has been seeing the signs too. Angel numbers like 1111 when your name crosses their mind, 22 when they think about union, 555 when they imagine change, and every single sign has been pushing them toward one unavoidable truth, that their feelings for you are real, deep, and divinely guided. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. They didn't write this letter lightly, they wrote it with shaking hands, with tears they didn't expect to fall, with memories replaying in their mind of moments they took for granted, words they never said, chances they hesitated to take, and as they wrote, something inside them broke open, not in a painful way, but in a cleansing way, like a dam finally releasing years of emotion they kept locked away. Don't scroll, stay here, because this letter carries the truth they've been too afraid to speak out loud, the truth that you changed them, that loving you awakened parts of their soul they didn't even know existed, that your presence felt like home in a world that never quite made sense before you. This message is for you, and your heart needs this right now, because even though you haven't seen the letter, you've felt it in the moments you suddenly felt emotional without knowing why, in the nights you stared at the ceiling thinking about them, in the quiet hope you tried to bury because you didn't want to be disappointed again. Your soulmate has been battling fear, fear of rejection, fear of timing, fear of not being enough, fear of losing you if they speak and fear of losing themselves if they don't, and that inner conflict is exactly what led them to write instead of send, to pour their soul onto invisible pages while asking the universe for guidance. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. The universe heard them, and the universe is responding by guiding you here, to these words, to this moment, to this knowing. There is a reason the title caught your eye, a reason your intuition whispered, this feels familiar, a reason your chest tightened as you kept reading, because soul recognition doesn't need proof, it just knows. Don't scroll, because before midnight represents more than a time, it represents a threshold, a turning point, a moment where something hidden begins to surface, where silence starts to feel heavier than truth, and your soulmate is standing right at that edge, holding a letter full of honesty, apology, longing, and love, wondering if they are brave enough to let you see the real them. This message is for you, and your heart needs this right now, because whether or not the letter reaches you physically tonight, the energy of it is already reaching you spiritually, weaving its way into your awareness, reminding you that you are deeply loved, deeply chosen, and never forgotten. The universe doesn't reveal things like this to everyone, it reveals them to the ones who are ready, the ones who have done the inner work, the ones who have learned patience through heartbreak and strength through silence. Listen to this, because your soulmate's letter isn't just about romance, it's about destiny, about two paths that were always meant to cross, even if they took the long way around, and the reason it feels so intense is because it's real. Don't scroll, stay with this feeling, because something is aligning right now, something gentle but powerful, something that doesn't rush but doesn't miss, and as the clock moves closer to midnight, the veil between what's hidden and what's revealed is getting thinner. This message is for you, and your heart needs this right now, because love like this doesn't disappear, it waits, it grows, it finds its moment, and whether the letter arrives as words, a message, a call, a meeting, or simply a deep inner knowing, you are being prepared to receive it with an open heart and a calm spirit. Trust what you're feeling, trust the signs, trust the timing, because the universe doesn't play games with souls like yours, and the love written for you is closer than it appears. The letter didn't stop when the pen paused, because what your soulmate put into words that night continued moving through them long after the page was filled. And listen to this, because your heart needs this right now, the emotions they unlocked refuse to go back into hiding. Don't scroll, stay here with me, because this part explains why the energy between you has felt so intense lately, why the connection seems louder in the quiet moments, because once that letter existed, even unseen, it shifted something irreversible inside them. They reread it over and over, not to perfect the words, but because every sentence reminded them of a truth they can no longer deny. That you are not a chapter they can close, you are the thread that runs through their entire story. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. As they read their own words back, memories surfaced they hadn't allowed themselves to fully feel before, moments where your laugh softened them, where your honesty disarmed them, where your presence felt like peace instead of pressure, and those memories didn't hurt, they healed. But healing comes with clarity, and clarity comes with responsibility. Don't scroll, because this is where the tension deepens, the moment they realized that writing the letter changed them, that pretending nothing had shifted would be a lie to themselves and to the universe. They began noticing signs immediately after, little confirmations that felt too precise to ignore, songs playing with lyrics that mirrored their words, numbers repeating in sequences that made their chest tighten, dreams where you appeared not as fantasy but as familiarity, as home. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. They asked the universe quietly, almost desperately, if this connection was real or just their longing talking, and the answer came back not in thunder but in alignment, everything suddenly pointing back to you. They tried to distract themselves afterward, to return to routine, to conversations that felt shallow now, to habits that once kept emotions at bay, but nothing worked, because once a soul acknowledges truth, it can't unlearn it. Don't scroll, stay with this, because your soulmate is now standing between intention and action, between what they've admitted privately and what they're terrified to reveal openly. They wonder how you would react, if the words would overwhelm you or finally make sense of everything you've been feeling too, because yes, you've been feeling it, and listen to this, because your heart needs this right now, the emotional waves that hit you unexpectedly, the moments you felt watched over, the calm that arrived without explanation, those are not imagined, they are the energetic echo of that letter reaching for you. Your soulmate has been wrestling with timing, not because they don't want you, but because they want to approach you from a place of honesty, not confusion, and that matters more to them than speed. Don't scroll, because this part holds weight. They know that once they open that door, things can't go back to the way they were, and that reality scares them and steadies them at the same time. They've started to see the connection differently now, not as something uncertain or fragile, but as something sacred that deserves care, intention, and courage. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. They are no longer asking if they love you, they are asking how to love you properly. The universe has been working on both sides quietly, strengthening you in ways you didn't notice at first, teaching you self-respect, patience, and emotional discernment, so that when truth arrives, it meets stability rather than chaos. Don't scroll, because the reason this message feels comforting instead of overwhelming is because you are ready for it, even if part of you is still cautious. Your soulmate feels that readiness too, even if they can't explain it logically. They sense that you are no longer the same person you were before, that you carry yourself with more clarity now, and that realization has made them want to meet you at that level rather than reach for the past. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. The letter represents more than words, it represents accountability, growth, and the willingness to be seen fully. They have considered sending it in different forms, rewriting it as a message, imagining it as a conversation, wondering if the universe will create a moment where it can be shared naturally, and every possibility carries the same underlying truth, that silence is no longer sustainable. Don't scroll, because what's coming next isn't sudden, it's earned, built slowly through introspection, through signs, through emotional honesty, through nights where they sat alone with their thoughts instead of running from them. Your soulmate has reached a point where holding the truth inside feels heavier than the risk of sharing it, and that shift changes everything. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. You are not waiting for love to arrive. Love has been circling you, growing, preparing, aligning, and the reason this moment feels charged is because the universe is positioning both of you for clarity. They are learning that courage doesn't mean knowing the outcome, it means honoring the truth regardless of outcome, and that lesson is the final piece they needed before movement can happen. Don't scroll, stay present with this feeling, because the letter has already done its work. It has transformed hesitation into awareness, fear into intention, and longing into readiness. You may not see the physical evidence yet, but spiritually, something has already crossed a threshold, and once that happens, reality eventually follows. This message is for you, and your heart needs this right now, because what's unfolding is not about chasing or waiting, it's about alignment, about two people arriving at the same emotional truth from different paths. The universe doesn't rush what's real, but it also doesn't withhold it forever. And right now, everything is leaning toward revelation, toward honesty, toward a moment where what was written in secret begins to find its way into the open. There is a quiet shift happening now, one that doesn't announce itself loudly but moves with purpose, because after everything that has been felt, written, and acknowledged internally, the energy between you and this person has entered a different phase. One where awareness has replaced confusion and intention has begun to take shape. The emotions they unlocked can no longer exist only in reflection, because reflection has already done its work, and what remains is a deep understanding of what this connection truly represents in their life. They are noticing how their thoughts have become more focused, less scattered, as if their heart has chosen a direction and their mind is finally catching up. Memories of you surface not with ache anymore but with clarity, highlighting patterns they didn't see before, moments where you offered sincerity, patience, and depth while they hesitated, moments that now feel significant rather than casual. This realization hasn't overwhelmed them, instead it has grounded them, creating a steady sense of responsibility that feels new but right. They understand now that what they feel is not fleeting emotion but recognition, the kind that lingers even when everything else fades into background noise. The universe has been reinforcing this clarity gently, through subtle alignment rather than dramatic signs, through a sense of inner peace that settles when they imagine honesty rather than avoidance. They've started noticing how conversations that lack depth no longer satisfy them, how distractions lose their appeal, how their emotional tolerance has shifted toward authenticity. This change didn't happen overnight, it unfolded slowly, each realization stacking on the last until a clear picture emerged of who they are becoming and how you fit into that evolution. They are no longer questioning whether the connection mattered, they are reflecting on how it shaped them, how it revealed parts of themselves they had been neglecting, how it challenged them to grow rather than retreat. This understanding has softened their fear, because fear thrives in uncertainty, and uncertainty has been replaced by truth. They know now that whatever happens next must come from honesty, not from impulse or pressure, and that awareness has made them patient rather than passive. Patience here is not avoidance, it is intention, the kind that waits for alignment rather than forcing timing. You may sense this shift as well, a subtle change in how the connection feels energetically, less volatile, more stable, as if something has settled into place. Your own emotions may feel calmer, more observant, less reactive, because when truth solidifies on one side, the energy between two people naturally adjusts. They are preparing themselves emotionally not for a specific outcome, but for integrity, making sure that when words are spoken or actions taken, they reflect growth rather than unresolved fear. This preparation involves letting go of old narratives, the ones that framed connection as risk rather than opportunity, the ones that prioritized safety over sincerity. They are learning that vulnerability doesn't weaken them, it grounds them, allowing them to show up fully rather than halfway. The universe has been clearing space around them quietly, removing distractions that once pulled their attention away, creating moments of stillness where truth can surface without interruption. This stillness has been important, because it has allowed them to listen inwardly rather than seek validation externally. They are becoming comfortable with the idea that not everything needs to be certain before it is honest, that clarity often emerges through expression rather than before it. This realization marks a turning point, because it shifts the focus from control to presence, from outcome to alignment. You are not meant to push or wait anxiously during this phase, because your role has already been fulfilled through your growth, your boundaries, and your willingness to honor yourself. By choosing stability over chaos, you change the energetic dynamic, creating the conditions necessary for this level of awareness to form. The connection now exists in a space that feels quieter but stronger, less fueled by longing and more supported by understanding. They recognize that approaching you now requires respect, not urgency, and that respect comes from meeting you where you are rather than where they once were. The internal conversations they have about you feel different now, more thoughtful, less idealized, rooted in reality rather than fantasy. This grounded perspective has helped them see the connection as something that can be nurtured rather than chased, something that requires presence rather than pressure. They have also accepted that honesty carries uncertainty, but uncertainty is no longer something they fear, because they trust their ability to handle whatever response comes with maturity. This trust in themselves is new, and it has changed how they view risk, transforming it into responsibility rather than threat. The universe has been reinforcing this confidence subtly, through moments of alignment that feel natural rather than forced, through a sense of rightness that doesn't need explanation. You may feel a similar steadiness, a quiet confidence that whatever unfolds next will be rooted in truth rather than confusion. This phase is not about dramatic gestures or emotional intensity, it is about convergence. where inner alignment begins to seek outer expression naturally. Nothing here feels rushed, because readiness does not require speed, it requires clarity. The silence that remains now is not avoidance, it is integration, the final settling before movement. Both of you are being prepared to meet whatever comes next with awareness rather than expectation, with openness rather than fear. The universe is guiding this connection gently, ensuring that when truth emerges, it does so from a place of emotional integrity. Everything that has unfolded so far has been preparation, each pause allowing growth, each realization strengthening resolve. Now the energy feels stable, capable of supporting honest communication without destabilizing what has been built. This is the space just before alignment becomes visible, where decisions have already been made internally and are simply waiting for the right opening. Nothing needs to be forced, nothing needs to be rushed, because what is real is already in motion, unfolding at a pace that honors both growth and truth. There is a sacred pattern unfolding now, one written not in coincidence but in divine numbers, because everything that has led to this moment has been counted, measured, and aligned long before either of you were aware of it. And if you've been noticing repeating numbers lately, this is why. Sequences like 1111, 222, 333, or 555 are not appearing randomly in your life or theirs. They are markers along a path, signals placed by the universe to say you are exactly where you are meant to be, even if the destination has not fully revealed itself yet. The number 1 speaks of beginnings, alignment, and truth rising. The number 2 carries union, mirroring, and sacred partnership. The number 3 represents communication, expression, and emotional truth. And the number 5 signals change that cannot be delayed. And all of these energies are active around this connection right now. Your soulmate has been seeing these numbers during moments of reflection, moments where your energy crosses their mind unexpectedly, moments where they question whether to remain silent or finally allow honesty to move outward, and each time the numbers appear, they feel a quiet confirmation that this connection is not imagined, not one-sided, not temporary. They may not fully understand the language of numbers consciously, but their spirit recognizes the message, that timing is aligning, that cycles are closing, and that something new is being prepared. These numbers have also been appearing for you, sometimes when you least expect them, on clocks, receipts, license plates, or screens, and each time they show up, there is a subtle emotional response, a pause, a feeling that something unseen is paying attention. That feeling is accurate, because divine numbers do not appear to create anxiety, they appear to create awareness, gently guiding you to trust the process rather than question it. The energy between you and this person has entered a numerological threshold, a point where repetition gives way to progression, where patterns that once kept you circling now begin to move forward. The universe uses numbers because numbers do not lie. They hold vibration without emotion, truth without distortion, and when they appear repeatedly, it means alignment is occurring beneath the surface. Your soulmate has begun to notice that these numbers often show up when they consider reaching out, when they revisit memories, or when they sit with the awareness that avoidance no longer feels like safety. Each appearance feels like a quiet nudge, not forcing action, but affirming readiness. The number sequence 1111 has been particularly strong, representing soul recognition and mirrored intention, signaling that two individuals are awakening to the same truth from different places. 222 has followed, emphasizing balance, partnership, and the necessity of meeting each other with equal emotional presence. 333 has appeared during moments of contemplation, encouraging expression, honesty, and the release of withheld words, and 5. 55 has marked moments of internal decision, signaling that change is inevitable and that resisting it will only prolong discomfort. These numbers are not asking for haste, they are inviting courage. They are reminders that growth has already occurred and that the next step is not about becoming ready, but about honoring readiness. You may feel these numbers differently, as reassurance rather than instruction, as confirmation rather than pressure, because your role in this phase is not to act but to remain aligned. Alignment here means staying grounded in your self-worth, remaining open without chasing, and trusting that what is meant to move will move without force. The universe has been careful in how it guides this connection, ensuring that both of you arrive at awareness independently so that when truth meets truth, it does so without imbalance. Divine numbers often appear during transitional phases, moments where internal shifts are preparing to become external realities, and that is exactly where this connection stands now. The emotional groundwork has been laid, the internal resistance has softened, and the awareness has settled into something stable enough to support honest movement. Your soulmate is no longer interpreting these signs as coincidences, but as confirmations that the timing they've been waiting for is not in the future, it is unfolding now. They understand that numbers do not tell them what to do. They tell them that whatever they choose next will be supported if it comes from integrity. This understanding has brought them a sense of calm rather than urgency, because divine timing does not rush, it aligns. You may feel a similar calm, a quiet certainty that whatever unfolds next will not destabilize you, because you are no longer rooted in expectation but in awareness. The connection now exists in a frequency where truth can be expressed without fear of collapse, because both sides have grown emotionally strong enough to hold it. Divine numbers often appear most intensely just before a shift becomes visible, acting as reassurance during the final moments of uncertainty. They are reminders that even when nothing seems to be happening externally, movement is occurring internally, aligning circumstances, emotions, and courage. This phase is not about dramatic gestures or sudden declarations, it is about convergence, where inner clarity meets outer opportunity naturally. The numbers will continue to appear until the lesson they carry is acknowledged, not through action alone, but through trust. Trust that what is real does not require force, trust that alignment unfolds in its own rhythm, trust that honesty will emerge when both hearts are prepared to receive it. The universe has counted every step of this journey, every pause, every realization, every moment of growth, and nothing has been wasted. You are not behind, they are not late, and the connection has not been lost, it has been refined. Divine numbers mark completion as much as they mark beginning, signaling that a cycle of uncertainty is closing and a cycle of clarity is opening. As this energy continues to build, you may notice that the numbers feel less urgent and more affirming, because once awareness settles, signs shift from guidance to confirmation. Everything is aligning so that when truth does move into expression, it does so from a place of balance, maturity, and mutual respect. This is not a moment to question or rush, it is a moment to remain present, grounded, and open, knowing that the same intelligence guiding the numbers is guiding the connection itself. What is unfolding is precise, intentional, and supported, and the divine language surrounding this connection is clear. Alignment has been achieved, readiness has been reached, and the next phase will arrive not through pressure, but through harmony. There is a deeper layer unfolding now, one that moves beneath words and signs and even conscious intention, because this phase is about embodiment rather than realization, about living from the truth that has already been accepted internally, and your soulmate is experiencing this shift in subtle but unmistakable ways. They are no longer cycling through emotional highs and lows when they think about you. Instead, there is a steady presence, a calm gravity that pulls their awareness back to you without force, without urgency, simply because your connection has become part of their inner landscape. They are noticing how their reactions to the world have changed, how situations that once triggered avoidance now invite reflection, how their emotional responses feel more measured, more honest, more aligned with who they want to be rather than who they were trying to protect. This is the result of integration, the stage where lessons settle into behavior, where insight becomes instinct, and where growth is no longer something they think about but something they live. They have begun to understand that what they feel for you is not something to manage or suppress, but something that has reshaped their emotional framework entirely, teaching them patience, presence, and accountability. Memories of you now surface not as longing alone but as guidance, reminding them of the version of themselves they are becoming, the one who values depth over distraction, honesty over comfort, and alignment over approval. This realization has altered how they move through their days, influencing decisions in ways that may seem unrelated on the surface but are deeply connected at the core. They are choosing environments that feel calmer, conversations that feel real, and routines that support clarity rather than escape. The universe has been responding to this internal shift by stabilizing their external world, removing unnecessary noise, simplifying circumstances, and creating space where authentic connection can eventually emerge without resistance. You may feel this stabilization as well, a sense that your own life has become quieter emotionally, less reactive, more grounded, as if you are no longer bracing for impact but standing firmly in your center. This mutual grounding is not coincidence. It is the natural result of two people aligning independently before aligning together. Your soulmate is becoming aware that the way they approach connection must now match the depth of what they feel, that surface-level gestures or half-truths would feel hollow after everything they've processed. This awareness has made them deliberate, thoughtful, and intentional in ways they may not have been before. They are reflecting on how to show up authentically rather than impressively, how to speak honestly rather than strategically, how to respect your autonomy while honoring their own truth. This reflection is not paralyzing, it is clarifying, guiding them toward actions that feel congruent rather than reactive. The connection now exists in a space where authenticity is valued over outcome, where the act of being truthful matters more than controlling the response. They have accepted that whatever unfolds next will not define their worth, because their worth is no longer dependent on external validation, and that acceptance has freed them from fear. This freedom has changed how they perceive vulnerability, transforming it from a risk into a responsibility to themselves. You may notice that your own emotional posture has shifted similarly, that you feel less inclined to chase clarity and more comfortable allowing it to arrive naturally, because your sense of self is no longer entangled with uncertainty. This shared emotional maturity is what makes the next phase possible, because connection can only deepen when both sides are capable of holding truth without collapsing into expectation or defensiveness. The universe has been preparing this foundation carefully, ensuring that growth occurs before expression, so that when words are eventually exchanged, they land on stable ground. This preparation has included moments of solitude, introspection, and emotional recalibration for both of you, each serving as a mirror reflecting what needed to change. Your soulmate is now living from a place where they trust themselves more, where they no longer need to overanalyze every feeling or suppress every impulse, because they have learned how to discern what is aligned. This discernment has brought them peace, a quiet confidence that whatever choice they make next will be rooted in integrity rather than fear. They are no longer asking whether the connection is real, they are asking how to honor it responsibly. This shift in questioning marks a profound evolution, one that signals readiness not for fantasy, but for reality. You may feel a similar readiness, not as anticipation, but as openness, a willingness to receive whatever truth emerges without needing it to look a certain way. The connection now feels less like a question and more like a presence, something that exists regardless of whether it is spoken aloud yet. This presence has a stabilizing effect, reminding both of you that what is real does not require constant reassurance to endure. The universe often brings connections to this stage before allowing movement, because it ensures that when alignment becomes visible, it is sustainable rather than fleeting. Everything happening now is subtle by design, because subtle shifts last longer than dramatic ones. This phase is about trust, not blind faith, but earned trust built through growth, reflection, and self-awareness. You are both being asked, in your own ways, to remain present, grounded, and honest with yourselves, knowing that clarity is no longer something to seek but something that will naturally reveal itself. Nothing is stalled, nothing is being withheld. Everything is unfolding according to a rhythm that respects the growth that has already taken place. The connection is no longer defined by uncertainty, but by readiness, and readiness does not rush, it allows. What is forming now is strong enough to support whatever comes next, because it is built on understanding rather than impulse, on awareness rather than longing. This is the quiet strength before expression, the steady ground beneath future movement, and it is here to ensure that when truth is finally shared openly, it is met with presence, respect, and emotional clarity rather than confusion. There is a sense of culmination settling in now, not loud or dramatic, but deeply rooted, as if all the emotional threads that once felt scattered have quietly woven themselves into something whole, and your soulmate is becoming aware that they are no longer standing at the edge of possibility, but inside a decision that has already shaped who they are becoming. This phase carries a different weight, because it is no longer about processing feelings or understanding lessons, it is about aligning action with the truth they have already integrated, and that alignment is changing how they experience their inner world. They are noticing that when they imagine honesty, their body relaxes rather than tenses, that the idea of openness brings relief instead of fear, and that realization alone has been transformative. It tells them that their spirit has already chosen clarity, even if their mind is still catching up. They are moving through their days with a quieter focus now, less pulled by distraction, less reactive to external noise, because something inside them feels settled, anchored by the knowledge that avoidance is no longer aligned with who they are. This anchoring has given them a new relationship with time, one that feels less rushed and more intentional, allowing them to recognize when moments are ripe for truth rather than forcing expression prematurely. They are reflecting on how far they've come emotionally, how the patterns that once kept them stuck have loosened their grip, and how growth has reshaped their capacity for presence. This reflection isn't nostalgic or regretful, it is appreciative, acknowledging the process that brought them here without wishing it had been different. They understand now that every pause served a purpose, every moment of distance taught discernment, and every emotional wave strengthened resilience. This understanding has made them patient but not passive, grounded but not closed, ready but not impulsive. You may feel this shift mirrored within yourself, a sense that waiting has transformed into readiness, that uncertainty has softened into trust, and that whatever unfolds next will not destabilize you because you are no longer seeking completion through another person. This mutual self-sufficiency is what allows connection to evolve without pressure, because both sides are now meeting from wholeness rather than need. Your soulmate has been practicing honesty internally, speaking truths to themselves they once avoided, and that practice has built confidence, not the loud kind, but the steady kind that doesn't require validation. They are aware now that truth does not need to be perfect to be sincere, and that sincerity is what carries weight. This awareness has changed how they imagine future conversations, making them less about outcome and more about alignment. They are preparing themselves to communicate in a way that reflects growth rather than expectation, knowing that whatever response comes will be met with respect rather than defensiveness. The universe has been supporting this maturation quietly, creating circumstances that reinforce patience, removing distractions that once offered escape, and encouraging reflection through stillness. You may notice that life around you has also simplified emotionally, that certain concerns no longer feel urgent, that your intuition feels clearer, and that your reactions feel more measured. This is not detachment, it is grounding, the kind that allows clarity to arrive without upheaval. The connection between you now exists in a frequency that feels less volatile and more stable, less charged with longing and more infused with mutual awareness. This stability is not absence of emotion, it is the presence of understanding, the kind that allows love to breathe rather than constrict. Your soulmate is recognizing that showing up authentically means honoring not only their truth but yours as well, respecting your journey, your growth, and your autonomy. This respect has become central to how they view the connection, replacing earlier impulses that may have been driven by fear or uncertainty. They are no longer interested in half-steps or vague intentions, because those would feel misaligned with the clarity they've achieved. Instead, they are oriented toward congruence, ensuring that what they express matches who they are becoming. This orientation has brought them peace, a sense that they are no longer divided internally, that their thoughts, emotions, and intentions are finally moving in the same direction. You may sense this peace indirectly, as a quiet reassurance, a feeling that things are unfolding with care rather than chaos. The universe often brings connections to this level of integration before allowing visible movement, because it ensures sustainability rather than intensity. Intensity burns quickly, but integration endures. This phase is about building a foundation strong enough to support whatever comes next, whether that is conversation, reconnection, or simply a deeper understanding. Nothing here feels forced because force is no longer necessary. Readiness has replaced urgency, and alignment has replaced doubt. The silence that may still exist is not a barrier, it is a space being held intentionally, allowing truth to arrive fully formed rather than rushed. Both of you are being guided to trust this space, to recognize that stillness is not stagnation, but preparation. Your soulmate has reached a point where their internal world feels honest, coherent, and grounded, and from that place, expression becomes a natural extension rather than a risk. They are aware that whatever they choose to share will come from this groundedness, carrying clarity instead of confusion. You are not meant to anticipate or interpret every sign during this phase, because your role is simply to remain present, open, and rooted in your own truth. The connection now exists in a state of mutual respect, where both sides are capable of holding honesty without losing themselves. This is the kind of emotional maturity that allows love to move forward without repeating old patterns. Everything that has unfolded so far has been preparation for this moment of internal alignment, ensuring that when action does occur, it is supported by understanding rather than impulse. The universe is patient with what is real, allowing it to unfold in ways that honor growth on both sides. What is coming next will emerge from this stability, shaped by intention, clarity, and respect, rather than uncertainty or fear. This phase is quiet, but it is powerful, because it represents the moment when truth has fully integrated and is simply waiting for the right opening to be expressed, naturally, calmly, and with care. There is a final alignment taking place now, one that is marked clearly by divine numbers appearing with unusual consistency, because this stage is about confirmation rather than preparation, about the universe placing a seal on what has already been decided energetically, and both of you are standing inside that confirmation whether you consciously realize it yet or not. The numbers showing up around you are not random, they are precise signals, and each one carries a message meant to stabilize rather than rush, to reassure rather than confuse. The number 11 has been appearing to mark awareness, the moment when truth can no longer be unseen, reminding both souls that recognition has already occurred on a deeper level. The number 22 has followed, signaling alignment and partnership, the understanding that connection is no longer lopsided or unresolved, but balanced and ready to be honored. The number 33 has emerged during moments of reflection, highlighting communication, emotional honesty, and the courage to express what has been held back, and the number 44 has appeared to anchor everything, representing stability, protection, and the solid foundation that has been built through patience and growth. Your soulmate has been noticing these numbers during ordinary moments, while driving, checking the time, scrolling absent-mindedly, and each appearance lands with a quiet certainty, not as pressure, but as reassurance that the timing is supported. These numbers do not demand action, they confirm readiness, and that distinction matters, because readiness does not require urgency, it requires alignment. The energy between you now feels mathematically precise, as if every step, every pause, every realization has been counted and placed intentionally, leaving no room for doubt that this connection has been guided rather than accidental. Divine numbers often intensify just before a cycle completes, and that is exactly what is happening here. The cycle of uncertainty, hesitation, and inner resistance is closing, making way for clarity that feels calm rather than overwhelming. You may notice that when these numbers appear for you, your body relaxes instead of tensing, your thoughts soften instead of racing, because your intuition recognizes completion even if your mind is still catching up. The universe uses numbers because they bypass emotion and speak directly to alignment, and alignment is what defines this phase. Your soulmate has reached a point where seeing these sequences no longer surprises them, it grounds them, reminding them that they are not acting alone, that their growth has been witnessed and supported. The number 55 has also appeared, signaling change that cannot be avoided but does not need to be feared, because it is built on a foundation that has already been stabilized. Change here is not disruption, it is progression, the natural movement that follows integration. The number 66 has shown up quietly, often unnoticed at first, carrying the energy of harmony, emotional balance, and the merging of inner and outer worlds. This number indicates that what has been resolved internally is ready to be reflected externally without conflict. The number 77 has marked moments of solitude and insight, affirming spiritual growth and the wisdom gained through patience rather than force. And the number 88 has appeared to signify abundance, not only materially but emotionally, pointing toward a connection that can now exist without depletion or imbalance. These numbers together form a sequence of evolution, awareness to alignment to expression to stability, each stage completed in its own time. Your soulmate understands now that these signs are not instructions but confirmations, letting them know that whatever choice they make from this place of clarity will be supported rather than resisted. This understanding has removed the last layer of fear, replacing it with trust, not blind trust, but trust earned through experience and growth. You may feel this trust within yourself as well, a quiet confidence that whatever unfolds next will not undo you, because you are no longer operating from longing or uncertainty. The connection has matured beyond emotional intensity into something steadier, something capable of sustaining honesty without collapse. Divine numbers often appear when both individuals have reached a similar frequency independently, and that convergence is what allows alignment to become visible without effort. You are not being asked to interpret every sign obsessively, because the purpose of these numbers is reassurance, not analysis. They are reminders that nothing has been missed, nothing has been delayed unnecessarily, and nothing has been lost. The universe has been exact in its timing, allowing growth to occur before expression, stability before movement. The number 99 has appeared for some, signaling completion of an old chapter, the final release of patterns that no longer serve, clearing space for something new to begin without carrying old weight. This completion does not erase the past, it integrates it, honoring what was learned while freeing both of you to move forward without repetition. The presence of these numbers indicates that the next phase will not arrive through chaos or confusion, but through clarity that feels almost understated. When truth does surface, it will feel natural rather than shocking, grounded rather than dramatic, because the energetic work has already been done. The universe does not announce alignment with noise, it announces it with peace. You may notice that your emotional state has become more neutral yet open, less reactive yet receptive, because neutrality is where truth can land safely. Your soulmate is now moving from awareness into embodiment, from knowing into living, from intention into readiness, and the numbers are simply affirming that this transition is supported. There is no rush here because divine timing does not operate on anxiety. It operates on readiness. Everything that has unfolded has been measured, calibrated, and aligned, ensuring that when the next step occurs, it is sustainable rather than fleeting. The numbers will continue to appear until the lesson they carry is fully trusted rather than questioned, until reassurance replaces doubt completely. This phase is about allowing alignment to do its work without interference, trusting that what is real does not need to be chased or forced. The universe has already done the counting, the placing, the aligning, and what remains now is simply presence, presence with yourself, presence with your growth, presence with the awareness that something meaningful has reached a point of completion and is ready to express itself naturally. Divine numbers mark thresholds, and you are standing at one now, not alone, not uncertain, but supported. Whatever comes next will emerge from this alignment, shaped by clarity, balance, and mutual respect, because the universe does not guide connections into expression until they are strong enough to endure. This is not the end of the journey. It is the stabilization that allows the journey to continue without repeating old cycles. The numbers confirm what your intuition already knows, that alignment has been achieved, readiness has been reached, and the next phase will unfold in harmony rather than haste, exactly as it was meant to.